Okay, good morning, Sophie. Thank you very
morning.
much for being here and giving us this time to have this conversation. So we have a question. The first issue I would like to address has to do with human rights. I know you're an activist and you also participate in some organizations. So I would like you to tell us about your opinion and your experience about the situation of human rights in China.
Thank you for having me here. I really like to tell everyone the situation in China regarding the human rights because my name is Sophie Luo. I am the wife of a current political prisoner. His name is Ding Jiaxi. He is a commercial lawyer before, and in 2010, he starts human rights activism to join his friend, scholar Xu Ziyong, to advocate a new citizens movement. At that time, China just started, the economic developed. After the Reformation, the economic developed to some degree, but still have a lot of social problems. So my husband, as a lawyer, he see a lot of people's rights were deployed by all kinds of problems, like the authorities might take away their properties and without give them enough compensation. Some kids can't go to school equally from everywhere inside China. And very heavy corruption in the government. The government never have a transparent policy to show what they are doing. So because of that, he and his friend, scholar Xu Ziyong, started to advocate people to practice the rights written in the Chinese Constitution and to like freedom of speech, freedom of assembly. They promote people get together not only to be a good citizen by themselves with high integrity, but also pay attention to the suffering of their neighbors, care about the social issues happening on the society, and try to confront the injustice by themselves as a supporting to the society to getting better. For me, this is a very good advocacy from my point of view. So I support, but one day he was taken away from my home. After 6 and 7 plainclothes searching everywhere of our home, he was taken away. So I was shocked because I know my husband is a very nice person. He will never against any laws of China. But the next day, my husband let his friend bring me a message, ask me to move to abroad if possible. Thanks to my company, and I can move to United States with my 2 daughters. After that, I start to investigate why they have to put him into the jail, just because the advocacy I explained to you. What I want to say to every people here is, usually I really live a beautiful life when I do not know the truth about China. After I moved to United States, after I follow up with my husband's case, I was shocked by all the things that the government covered by the beautiful life. People's poverty, people's inequality of the opportunity, people's rights were deprived, and also Uyghur genocide, and also the Tibetan cultural genocide. People have to send their kids to boarding school. All kinds of atrocity the government did to the minority people. I live in Beijing, belong to the mainland China portion. And I was born in South China, so I belong to the Han big majority group. I didn't realize that I have so much privilege compared to those minorities. This is one thing I found after I moved to abroad. Another thing is they are persecuting mainland China people as what they did to the minority people. So I right away realized this government, although they saw they for the people, work for the people, but they never ever, anytime they thinking about the people. They only work for their powers, for their tyranny, dictatorship. They do not allow people have any voice of their own. If anyone want to say something like my husband and the scholar Xu Ziyong, they will be forced, disappeared, tortured, will be sent to the place nowhere without any notice. So I continue to follow my husband's case after I moved to United States. He was sentenced 3.5 years. His friend was sentenced 4 years. And also there's a lot of other friends belong to the citizens movement regime were sentenced at different locations of mainland China. After they served their sentence, 4 years, 3.5 years, the crime is totally created without any criminal background. But the government can put them into jail. After both of them served the sentence, they resume their activism because they believe they are not wrong, because they believe they are doing good things for future China. But this time they did it even more peacefully. They didn't go on the street. They just doing online activism, gather people online to discuss the social issues, online study nonviolent protest strategy, online discussion the social issue happened and how to find a space to do some very peaceful advocacy. But even that, the government don't let them go. They followed them to everywhere, and they, after one offline gathering for about 20 people, a private gathering in the South China, my husband and other meeting participants right away disappeared, and was sent to an incommunicado detention center, tortured, without sleep, noise harassment, very terrible food, without sunshine, without lawyer to visit for 6 months. And his friend, scholar Xu Ziyong, first disappeared 2 months later. In 4 months, they treated him the same. After that, they were moved to a detention center, deprived of any pen, paper, book, without anything. Then after 4 years, they were secretly sentenced to 12 years in the prison, and Xu Ziyong 14 years, because Xu Ziyong writes some political articles directly confront the government. But in any case, their crime is subversion of the state power by just organize a private gathering together in the private home. I was shocked when last year, April, was sentenced. I am an engineer working for a global company, railway business. But since then, I just feel I have to step up because this is so cruel for citizens in order to practice their basic civil rights written in the Constitution. They persecuted them in that way. I followed the past 4 years of the case in very detail, and I see them how to create crime evidence from nowhere, put them into these long-term jails. in order to extinguish their voice, their theory, their ideas to the society, their good wishes for the beautiful China. And the thing is, sorry.
Don't worry. Take your time, it's okay.
And also, their names of Xu Ziyong and Ding Jiaxi became sensitive word in the internet. Although they did so much advocacy, in China, just very minimum people really know them, really knew them. Most ordinary people, due to the censorship of the internet, almost no people know their names, let alone what they did for the society. Even that, the government is so afraid of them, put them into such a long-term jail. After that, I decided I have to take over their torch. I don't want the government to persecute them like that. So also, in the meantime, I want to mention Xu Ziyong's fiancé, which also my friend Li Qiaochu, was sentenced 3 years and 8 months just because she loved Xu Ziyong, even not married yet. She was persecuted based on Xu Ziyong's crime, and she was put into jail. Even she has mental depression, they still put her into the jail, make her not able to have any voice. Based on that, I feel I'm so blessed that I can move to United States, can speak up for my husband. So since last year, I kind of decided to quit my job to do my husband and my Xu Ziyong's cause. So I decided not only speak up for my husband and Xu Ziyong, I decided to speak up for all the political prisoners. This is a picture picked out from the database of Chinese political prisoner. A volunteer activist made a photo of them. This is a typical representative of the conscientious political prisoners right now in the jail. 1/3 of them is lawyers and their family members, like Yu Wensheng, Xu Yan, Xu Ziyong, Li Qiaochu, as I just mentioned. This is my husband.
This is your husband?
Yeah, my husband. Gao Zhisheng, a lawyer, disappeared for 7 years. Still, his family, no idea where he is. Guo Feixiong, his family also do not, his story even more difficult. Li Yuhan, 1/3 of them is lawyers. The others are very outstanding citizens. They just speak up of their mindset, like me, like any family members, for their personal view about the society. They didn't even go on the street to do anything. They were persecuted. There is a journalist, Huang Xueqin. There is a IT genius, Niu Tengyu. There is a software worker, Ruan Xiaohuan. There is people, engineer, Peng Lifa. So this photo, why I carry it with me, it is according to my 11 and 5 years advocacy for my husband. I observed all the political prisoners types happened in China, different people, different group, different age from 5 to 72.
So young.
Yeah, this is because of her mom, his mom in the jail. So the little one also sent to the jail or
How many years old?
I don't know exactly. Maybe 3 to 5 years between.
Okay.
So from the age, from the young to the senior, from different jobs, pastor, journalist, lawyers, basically any citizen want to speak about themselves. So starting from now on, like starting from this May, I quit my job. I decided to devote myself to speak up for all the political prisoners, including Uyghur, Tibetan, Hong Kong people, mainland China. I see China as a big prison for the citizens, for the minorities, for the people who are fighting for their basic rights to speak, to talk, to communicate with friends, to have dinner party with his like-minded friends. That's my personal experience as of today.
Thank you very much. That is really, I mean, we want to focus this on the camera. You can see these are all the people that are in prison right now. Everyone, right?
Some of them already released,
but were in prison,
served their sentence. Some of them were released, were still monitored and followed in China. In any way, as I said, only if they are Chinese citizens, they are still in the big prison of China. Some of them released, like Chen Yuan just released, Li Qiaotu just released this year, Chang Weiping just released. But some of them still, like Qin Yongpei lawyer, Wang Aizhong, some of them released. But still, this is just an image of the real life in China. Because anytime they say something the government doesn't like, they will be taken away right away without any notice or crime justice. They always put people in the jail first, then torture them, force them to confess the crime they didn't do at all. Like this young genius IT guy, Niu Tenyu, was tortured also, acknowledged the crimes he didn't do. This is really from my heart. I just can't accept at all.
I understand, yes.
Yeah, some of them released but served their sentence. Some of them still in the jail. And also I want to mention here for Zhang Zhan. She is a lawyer, also female activist, also journalist. She was released this year, but because she keeps speaking up, was taken away again. So right now, you're almost not able to hear any citizen's voice in China because the fear, because of the deterrent, by taking all these people away.
And related to that, to the last case you mentioned,
you
about
might read it online, yes.
And about women's fight against this authoritarian government. So about your in your experience in relation with women's movement or fight for their civil rights, what do you think about that in your point of view? I mean, about the movement of the women. Is the same? They are also in prison and their voices are silent?
Yes. Okay. I among all the family members, wives of the human rights defender, I always see myself as the most lucky one, because the first time when my husband taken away, I fled out of China thanks to my company have a position in United States. I moved out of China since then. But I have a close connection with most family members in China. And I saw they suffering so much with their family members taken away. The wife, I want to mention the group of wives, which July 9th, 2015, that is a very famous persecution crackdown called 709 crackdown. In the law, there's over 300 lawyers and citizens suddenly disappeared because the government want to cover some they call it sensitive cases, just because those issues touch the human rights topic. So the government always impose sensitive national security into all these cases, put it as a secret cases. Actually, they are just ordinary citizens, lawyers, doing the cases according to the Chinese law. In that crack down the behavior of the wives. Actually, at that time, I was in United States already. I observed what they did in China. They speak up very bravely to call for the rights for their husband, for their families. And that is one of the reasons pushed the government released their families, I believe, from about 4 to 8 years. Even still long, but they speak up for them, make it a very impressive story to the outside world. But maybe not too many people knew them, but I know them so well because they suffered so much. They taking care of their children. They use all their time to speak up for their husband and their family members. And also, so before our generation, there is a generation called Tiananmen Square mothers, also very, very great to speak up for their children. That person that died during the Tiananmen Square event, that is some event happened even earlier than what I involved in the movement. Because I involved in the movement basically after 2013, 11 years ago, after I was shocked by my husband disappearing. What I want to say is many citizens, they don't aware of the atrocity of the government just because the government cover them so well. But once you saw them, you are not able to keep quiet. You have to speak out the story. So this past 11.5 years, I just keep finding all these kind of horrendous atrocity the government did to its citizen.
And how can we know about these cases? There is some website or organization we can read about this here?
That is the work of the NGOs outside China. I know there is some famous NGOs like Human Rights CHRD. I can give you those websites, but unfortunately they are mostly either in English or Chinese. After this trip, I going back, I will advocate, suggest them to add some more language. And also, after this trip, I might also send their website, share their website so some people can translate it for them to let more Spanish country people can see the true situation happened in China. Because, and also I myself, I'm setting up a kind of alliance or say an NGO trying to cover all the, I will have link with the existing website for the record of the human rights defender stories, their record, their data, their personal data, what happened to them. We intend to, outside China, we intend to do this job for the people in China, which they are not able to document them, to have their voice. We are going to do something. And we have a CHRD, what I mentioned, Freedom House, International Amnesty. There's a lot of NGO organizations. They did quite well to speak up for Hong Kongers, Tibetan, Uyghur, mainland China, for all these things. But that is also why ISHR brought us for this trip, because we realized global South people do not know too much due to the language, distance, cultural. They do not know what happened in the other globe of China. The problem is, what I highlight this just because according to my observation, the Chinese government did all these atrocities, the bad things, firstly to the minorities, to Uyghur, to Tibetan, to the other minorities, and they extended to mainland China, to his people. And so I see, according to what they did to COVID-19, to the citizens from the other country, just before my trip, there's a UK citizen was jailed in China unjustly for 2 years without any reason with his American wife. So from all this observation, I can see very clearly Chinese government is extending their dictatorship worldwide, not only inside China, but outside China. I wish the people in the international community watch this dictatorship government. Do not allow them keep lying to the Chinese people, to the people outside China, to do whatever they wanted to, according to their need to have a big power. That's my point of view. Maybe I talk directly of the questions.
No, but that's okay. Thank you very much, Sophie, for this interview. It's really impressive, your fight.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay.
Something else you want to say?
I think I already popped out all the why we come here, what I wish everyone to know. Because what I want to say is Chinese government is so good at lying to its people in China, lying to the people outside the world. Don't be cheated by their lies, but listen to the voice of the civil society. Listen to the voice of the ordinary people, what happened to them, and to know a real China and to watch. Well, when I talk about China, I always wish to say separate Chinese people with the Chinese Communist Party, the government.
Yes.
They completely do not care about anyone. They only care, the government, the CCP, the Chinese Communist Party, they only care about their dictators, their power. And some people might see the beautiful economic image they painted to the outside world, but that's not exactly. Some people in China are rich, but not everyone, absolutely. I know people are very poor still in remote China. There's still a lot of people. China have a lot of social problems, like in any other country, but they covered it. Chinese government always point the finger to the other country, like, so the other country dare not to say their human rights problem, because if the government raise the human rights problem, they will say, your country have a lot of social problem too. That's exactly why they covered all the social problem in China, try to point the fingers to the others. On the other side, they did much worse than Mexican, than any country in the world, I want to say, according to my observation. Okay, I might talk too much.
Thank you very much, Sophie.
Okay,
I wish you the best in your activism and your fight for human rights.
Yes, I will share more information with you if needed. And anytime, if any audience have any question, I will share with you my contact.
Thank you very much.
Ask me anytime, what is a true China?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.